children singing in the rain. When you hear them laughing, you don't see their pain. Do you hear them weeping? Do you hear them cry? To keep them happy is what we should try.
We say we love our children. Governments also love children. They are the future of the country, aren't they? And if that is so, then India's superpowerhood rests on its demographic dividend. But do the 390 million children of the country find a place in our planning for social change, development, and growth? Do we really give them a fair chance? Children's issues today are caught in a warp. We either have a very strong opinion on them, or we just don't care, unless it's our own. And to us, both is a problem.
When we say children, who do we mean? Which child, whose child? My 28-year-old girl or my 24-year-old boy, who are still babies to me and need to be cuddled and coddled? Or are we talking about all those children whose childhood ends abruptly at 7 or 8 and they're torpedoed into early adulthood? Our responses to these children are also different. While our children must go to specialized institutions before they can join our business, these poor children must join their caste-based trade even before they can walk. A poor street child deserves our charity. But heaven forbid if he were to ask for 25% reservation in my school. When your and my 18-year-old snorts coke or is caught in non-consensual sex, we say he's experimenting and needs a second chance. But when it's a poor school dropout, he's a monster, he's a demon, he needs to be put away, or perhaps even hanged.
Well, people really have a strong opinion on children when they come in their way. When they're told that they're not doing any social service by employing a child, or when children are perceived as a potential threat to safety. And that is something that all of us need to start thinking about today. Do we have an opinion on cryogenic engines if that is not our subject? Of course not. But when it comes to children and their rights, each one of us is an expert, aren't we? We've been a child, we've been a parent, an uncle, or an aunt, or we've seen children around us, as if that was enough. How many of us speak up when we walk into a restaurant and see this young child standing behind a family, wolfing away at their gourmet cuisine? Or when we come to know that our neighbor has been abusing his child? That's private business or destiny. Isn't that a dichotomy?
Even as we speak, thousands of children are hungry. They're forced to work, they're trafficked, they're married off as little babies, they're beaten and scolded. They're recruited into armed conflicts that we adults create with our ideologies. Girls are killed in the wombs, even in the richest of states in this country. Yet we find a way to rationalize all this exploitation. Poverty, illiteracy, culture, ideology, custom. We have an excuse for every violation. But what we also need to remember, that it is not just the poor child that we need to look out for. Your child, my child, the middle-class child is also caught in struggles. And who would know better than many of us sitting here? How often have we been told that what we are experiencing today is the baggage that we carry from our childhood? We just have to go and lie on the neighborhood couch of a shrink, and we'll know. And we'll be told, oh my God, the ghosts you carry. Willy-nilly, what we do is we make children victims of over-attention in a I know best for you kind of way, or pay them no attention at all. The reality is, children remain unseen, unheard, their citizenship and personhood denied.
You must have had many experiences, heard many stories, but let me share this one with you. Sushma is all of 13. When we first met her, she was breaking stones at a mine site. And when we asked her what did she see as a future, she said, breaking stones. A month later, we discovered that she was in an advanced stage of pregnancy, raped by her stepfather. Little Sushma didn't know what was happening to her. Neither could her mother make out, and it was too late. The hospital refused to treat her. Thin, frail, emaciated, too much of a risk, and it took a lot of arm twisting. As luck would have it, her father was arrested, but she was abandoned by her mother and held responsible for the situation the family had got into. Sushma today has given birth to a child. Tossed between different agencies, none wanting to help her, it was only when a high-ranking official intervened that she found some support. A new story has begun. But she was failed by her family, the society, and the system. And let us not be fooled that she's the only one of her kind, that it only happens to the likes of Sushma. It can be any child, girl, boy, rich, poor. On any given day, we receive complaints of abuse as much from wealthy families as from the slum communities. In fact, the family and the system fail the middle-class child equally. Sexual abuse does not know any class, caste, or religion. So if you think your child is safe, think again. And if you think that the perpetrator is some poor, illiterate sod, then do think again. This happens right under our nose.
Did you ever think that the agricultural policy of this country, or mining operations, or forest issues, or even displacement, forced evictions in the name of development has anything to do with children? But it does. If we look at the agricultural policy, when farmers commit suicide, it is the children who drop out of school and get to work to support their family. Children like Sushma grow up in mining areas without even the most basic facilities. And yet, when mining operations close because of the NGT tribunal or something else, it's the children who get trafficked. So everything we do or do not do affects children. And we need to be alert. Children's issues must be recognized and addressed in all stages and in all situations.
If it's fair chance that children deserve, then a one-size-fits-all approach does not work. Because it's complex. Children face multiple vulnerabilities depending on who they are, where they are from. And so, what is it that we are planning for them? What is it that we are thinking? How are we looking at children and their rights? That's something that we really need to now start thinking. We've been loving them for long, but what are we doing?
Does it surprise you that the government of India in the national budget allocates less than 5% for children, of its budget for children? 390 million children and 5 paise in the national budget? Despite a plethora of laws, policies, and programs, what children end up receiving is very poor quality services from untrained, underpaid, overworked, frustrated staff in the care institutions, in hospitals, in schools, even in the police and the justice system. Don't you think it's all upside down? It really needs to be set right. So here we are. This is our idea of change that we want to share with you based on our work at HAQ Center for Child Rights.
For children to have a fair chance, we must heal the seeds of pain inside them, not just brand them with judgment and punishment on one hand, and apathy and neglect on the other. So walk away from here, changing the way we think about children, changing the way we view children, changing the way we listen to them, and changing the way we plan for them. But this should not be grounded in patriarchy, paternalistic attitudes, or power that you and I enjoy as adults. It's just not enough to serve a poor child or to simply open an orphanage as if it's God's own work. Do speak up when you see a child being treated badly. Don't look away.
Recognize that childhood is a distinctive phase and it requires special investments of love, care, nurturing, infrastructure, but all of a certain standard, irrespective of religion, caste, and gender or disability. We are so steeped in discrimination that we don't even recognize when we are being discriminatory. At the same time, all children are individuals. They have their own needs, their individual dreams, their aspirations. Children are citizens today, so we must recognize their personhood and their sense of agency. Let us help them to grow up into individuals, mind you, not individualistic, as products of the market that we tend to make them today.
For social change to happen, it must begin with children. Children who are actors in society, citizens of today, and adults of tomorrow. And for those of us who are interested in investing in change, we must also recognize that it's slow to come by and cannot always be boxed into the input and output model. So, as a first, the narrative must change. It isn't and it cannot be about my child and that child. They are all our children. The child victim who is sexually abused, as well as the child whose father, perhaps as an accused, has been put behind bars. We cannot discriminate. The state cannot discriminate. So we want to leave you today with this thought. And I hope you will think about it, and we'd be happy to receive your feedback, your inputs, your comments.
As we sow, so shall we reap. Children's rights must therefore become a key indicator for our development and growth. It must begin with a strong political will to make a change, starting with governance that is child-sensitive, a society that is empathetic and non-judgmental, greater financial investment, and much greater accountability from you and me. Because the situation of children is like a dipstick. It tells us what ails the society and what is lovely and good in our society. Just to remind you, as Nelson Mandela said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. Thank you.
Thank you.